All right, morning everyone. Thanks for joining us. Just an FYI, we're using a different Zoom account this morning, so if the meeting stops all of a sudden, I'll try to restart it. Don't know how long the free Zoom lasts. JJ, start us off.
Jeff, what were some of your big takeaways after watching the film of Saturday's game?
Our run defense, it wasn't as bad as you feel like it was. Statistically, it looked terrible. Of the 38 carries, 32 of them were 3 yards or less. 6 of them, they gashed us, right? And so I know that sounds like I'm trying to be extremely positive, but I'm just that, those backs were really good. I know we had a lot of missed tackles, but I again attribute it to the talent of Bijan and Roshan. Our kids' effort was fantastic. I was very pleased with how well we ran the football. I didn't think when the game was over we would regret not running the ball more in the red zone. I didn't think we would regret not running it on 4th and 1. So there's 2 takeaways. Yes, y'all can get after me for the play calling, but also you can take away that, man, we're really getting better at running the football right now. Special teams wise, we executed an unbelievable play on our Night Stalkers. And we were very solid, and we went toe to toe with a really good special teams unit. So really proud of our kids, represented the brand. Disappointed we did not win the ball game. We left 18 points on the field that are haunting us right now.
I know we lost JJ there for a second, so Greg, we'll go to you.
Jeff, how did you guys come away from a health perspective? What's the overall feelings right now in terms of your team's medical status going forward?
We had 21 players on the injury report today. We had 6 MRIs today. That's a new record since I've been here, but we've been through a 3-game stretch that, nobody would ever hope to go through. But our kids they're very battle tested. Obviously, we need some good news on those 6 MRIs. And we got a lot of work to do, get those 21 kids back up and ready to go soon.
How can you guys change the routine this week, if at all, being the last week before the start of conference play, to try to lighten the load a little bit or make sure you're not putting as much of a toll on everybody?
Yeah, just a lot of common sense. I'll know more today. I haven't made the practice schedule yet just because I want to see what those MRIs look like. And we're talking about a few days they're out. We're talking about 2 weeks. We're talking about 4 weeks. All that matters, right? So, man, today's Care Bear's birthday, by the way, and she told me to quit saying right so much. So I already messed up, Care Bear. I apologize.
And you guys, you mentioned this 3-game stretch and how grueling it was going to be. It was something that was on your radar coming into the season. How did going through it compare to what you were expecting and bracing for coming in?
The O-line, we've just taken major hits in the same area. Like our nickels all went down Saturday. And so that was tough when, Day went down, then Danye went down, then Pig went down. That's just hard. All those guys are on special teams. And then the offensive line, we've just been, I just told them yesterday, let's just even quit discussing it anymore. It is what it is. It's going to be that way. We're not getting Frankie out of that lineup, man. Frankie's not coming out. Frankie is Mr. Walk On of the world, and he played his tail off again Saturday. So obviously it's not, you're going to get nicked up, Greg. It's just we keep getting hit in the same spot so heavy.
Separate from the injury component of it, did this 3-game stretch, prove beneficial in any kind of a way? Just that maybe other parts of the schedule might not feel as daunting in comparison, or to have those tests under your belt?
The environment of the games was just it was good for our coaching staff, communication, that's, you just can't duplicate that Houston game. Then you're like, well, you can't duplicate that Army game. Then you're like, well, man, you can't duplicate the Texas game. We've been through 3 very unique settings that I think have us very prepared for this 9-game stretch. And obviously the most important one is that 8-game stretch after this week.
And next year's non-conference schedule is just as daunting, if not more. Is there anything you learned going through this that might change how you approach it next time around?
Yeah, I've already talked about it. That gap, right? We got to get more depth. We have to get where we can play that many great teams in a row and handle 21 kids being on the injury report, and the next guy up be just as good as the one that came off the field. That when I talk about that gap, I don't mean, I'm talking about as a head coach. And the only way we've got to get that gap done is as a university, as a city, as a coaching staff, as the players. We cannot be patting ourselves on the back for getting beat we closely and scaring people. We've got to be, and I get it. Nobody likes to be attacked and talked bad about, but and I'm very grateful. Everybody is grateful. I am. I'd rather have that than everybody putting for sale signs in my front yard. But I want everybody to understand we've got to get out of that mindset. We can't be little brother. The city of San Antonio is not little brother to anything. And you can go help the University of Texas. I understand that. I mean, if you graduated from there, you got children there, that's your fans, always been. I support the Horns. That's great. But anybody else out there that wants to make a real difference to an upstart program in the city that you love so much. I mean, we've got 2 nonprofits going right now, and the 210 Runners Rising. I don't even know the names of all of them, and I know I should know more of them. But we've got so many ways to help right now, and in just buying a ticket, coming to the game, buying a suite. There's so many ways. We had so many fans there. It was so encouraging for our kids. We're walking into the game, and we got BirdsUp everywhere going on. So it's just very encouraging. It all matters. And I know everybody thinks I'm just trying to get somebody to write me a check for that indoor. That would be great. But if you don't have that ability, there's so many other ways to still support us to help us close this gap that we need to get closed.
Welcome back, JJ.
It's 210 Inspired and Runners Rising. That's the 2 nonprofits we have. And we've got a lot of boosters. And I can't tell you, I bet I had 10 people call yesterday wanting to know where to send NIL money. And they're like, all I've got is $50 a month. All I've got is $25 a month. Man, for a kid that's a walk-on, $50 a month, that's golden, right? Now, that's crazy good.
Jeff, this is kind of a new thing, the NLI you're talking about. How important is it to kind of make sure you keep that a point of emphasis, especially, during the season and with the showing you guys had this week?
Yeah, well, I just think what it did, JJ, honestly, it really, I still think there's some people out there going, wow, are they real? Is this real? Or is this some kind of and I keep bringing it up. Are we a flash in the pan? Or are we built to last? And I think our kids have given enough evidence that we plan on lasting. But we're not going to last if we do not have the infrastructure and the depth in our roster to continue to play great teams. And when we go to the AAC, you're going to get great teams each week. You're not going to get some team where you can just take the week off. You're going to play every week. So this is a great opportunity for us. I know we're all disappointed to be 1-2, but we also are mad we're not 3-0, and that's a good thing. We're mad we didn't run the ball more Saturday night. That's a good thing. That means we can play with every one of these teams. We already knew we could as a staff and our players, but I think going on the national scene lets a lot of people in San Antonio know, you know what, this could be something really fun. And I want to be, when we play those guys again in 2 years, that when we go into the game, everybody's like, UTSA really can play with those guys.
Greg?
Jeff, how did Demetrius Allen kind of react in your conversations and what you saw from him? It's got to be a tough deal going through all the spring and all the offseason and fall camp, and then you get 2 snaps in, and then you're already injured again. Yeah,
I'm glad you said it was 2. I wasn't even for sure. I've been saying 4, so I appreciate you letting me know. I was 100% off, right? We don't know yet. The MRIs today. We'll know more this morning, and we're hoping for good news, but we're not expecting good news.
Are there ways that you've seen Venley improve at left tackle he's had there? Can you talk us through his progress?
He got a triangle this week, man. He got him a shirt this week. He's so happy. He was crying when the game's over. He was so hurt. You watch him, he's always him and Maka have a race to get Frank picked up. They hate seeing their quarterback down. We barely got Maka to go back out there after Frank got hit in the face like that. Maka was just distraught. Those kids love Frank. And man, I'm so proud of Venley, because I called him out in the team meeting. I said to you guys, he's got to stop doing that stuff. And man, he was just spot on that game. He's going to be really good, people. That's you talk about a bright spot. Him and Frankie, what they've had to go through, and y'all have watched it too. Those guys have gotten better each week.
Is it just like technique to be able to cut out the penalties, or how is he adjusting as he's got more time and more reps at that tackle position?
It's still 10,000 hour rule, and he's only behind by about 9,900, right? I mean, he bless his heart. Playing a guard is just so different than playing a tackle. And it's just a totally different technique. You're on an island, and what a good player he's going to be for us. And for our future, that's just a really good thing to feel good about, that you know you've got a tackle that's going to be really good for a while.
And you've talked about Frankie Martinez, obviously, for a walk-on to be thrust into some pretty difficult assignments here. How can you describe kind of his mentality and how he's sort of stepped up to answer that call? What the attitude's been like? Just
the heart of a walk-on. I mean, just doing more than what he physically capable of. He just finds a way. He's tough. I mean, he's got a knee injury. He's got a shoulder injury, and he's going against guys that are superior to him athletically. And he just trusts his team. He trusts his technique. We help him a little bit out there with some protections, but man, Frankie holds his own every single Saturday, and couldn't be more proud of him. A homegrown San Antonio kid too. I mean, he's one of our own, and I'm really happy for Frankie.
Like you mentioned, he's faced some tough tests and there's some potential mismatches athletically. Do you have to do anything to kind of keep him up mentally and make sure he doesn't get discouraged by some of the challenges, or how do you guys see that part?
Frankie's got that walk-on mindset, man. He's got the underdog role. He likes it. He likes being doubted. He's just a tough, typical, he fits the brand, man. You talk about the hashtag 2-0 triangle of toughness. That's Frankie Martinez, man. He's all about the city. He's an unsung hero that's, just keeps getting put out there in a situation and finding a way to show up.
JJ?
Jeff, you mentioned the play of the defense. Can you just kind of tell us how your D-line graded out and just the overall impact they had in the game?
I thought it was Brandon Madison's best game of the year. Man, those guys played really well. We did a really good job up front, and we dented them a bunch. We feel really good about that group. It's the strength of our team. We're deep. They're physical. They run the ball, and you're never happy when you give up 188 yards rushing to a back, and you're never happy when you give it those kind of stats. But man, I'm going to just celebrate those kids to have 32 plays with 3 yards and less. And obviously, I'm not happy about the 6 that got out, but I couldn't be more pleased with our D-line.
Greg?
Talking about the offensive line room a little bit more, getting past some of the heavy hitters on the schedule, is there a point where you would want to look at Ben Rios or DeAndre Marshall for those games that they are allowed to play while still maintaining their kind of redshirt status?
Yeah, they're getting closer. Obviously, we're just trying to buy time with them, but we're going to have to play them. We're too injured, and I don't know if we're going to be able to redshirt them. We're going to try our hardest to do it. We've got 4 games to fool with, and just because of the injuries, we might have to go ahead and play them. We'll have to see, Greg. But I could foresee them playing pretty soon.
Is there anything you can do with the roster to try to increase depth? Would you ever consider moving guys from another position group, or are there other moves that you have available? Yeah,
we might have to. That is a possibility. We just might have to. We've got, of the 21 kids on the injured report, 7 are offensive linemen. I mean, so when half of your line is in the training room and you need 10 to get to the game, you can do the math. We don't have that many on the roster.
I noticed Dan Dishman and Gavin Sharp were both really involved in this matchup. What was it that made you want to look to 2 tight ends and multiple options in that sense as often as you did?
Well, I mean, I know I've talked this a ton to you guys. You play the best kids, right? But we still want to be a 12 personnel team. We want to be 35% of our snaps. I just believe to win championships, you've got to run the football. And I know y'all get tired of hearing all my philosophies and thoughts, but we're committed to recruiting, 6 tight ends and playing 2 of them at least 35 to 40% of the game. And we got 3 tight ends right at 35 to 40 snaps Saturday, and all 3 played very well. I mean, Oscar, another homegrown city kid, just continues to get better. And, Dan played really well, as did Gavin. All 3 of those guys played very well Saturday.
Has Dan been kind of improving week to week? It seems like his snap counts just keep going up. What differences do you sort of see in how he handled that environment?
You guys don't miss anything, do y'all? I mean, y'all must watch a lot of UTSA football, man. which is a compliment to you guys, man. I appreciate that. Yes, Dan has continued to get better, technically, physically, mentally, all of it. And Justin Burt does a fantastic job of coaching those tight ends, and those guys had a good game. I'm happy for them. And Cam Cooper's getting better too. I would expect to see Cam pretty soon. We're trying to do the same with him as Ben and DeAndre to try to redshirt him, but we just might not be able to due to the injuries.
JJ?
Jeff, how did the logistics on the sidelines work out Saturday with you guys?
Do you mean as far as just the crowd noise, or do you mean when our headsets went out, or which part?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
It was the most incredible home field advantage I've ever seen in my life. I learned a few things. I'm going to talk to the Alamo Dome about it. I mean, they do. Our guys do a fantastic job at the Alamo Dome, but man, that noise to right before the ball was snapped was so incredible. It definitely messed with us trying to get our communication to the team, because we got to get it Will and Matt, they're trying to get it to our signalers who are trying to get it to Frank, and they just kept, and they never got off of us. And when it went to third and fourth down, they went to another level, which I don't know if they got some kind of, I don't know how they did all that, but it was the greatest home field advantage I've ever seen, other than the Alamo Dome. And we learned a few tricks. I think it was just good for all of us. I think all of us left there going, holy mackerel, that had a difference in the ball game. Our fan base is just as passionate. And I'm not talking about that. I just mean how, I guess what I'm saying, JJ, I was gone from there in 2016. What they've done in the last 6 years is way different. It's just a different feel to that stadium, what they've done with that south end zone. With the headsets, who knows? They went out in the second quarter, and that's hard. They couldn't stop the game because it was in the flow of the game. I don't ever watch the TV copy, so I don't know what y'all could tell, what y'all couldn't tell. But that was a stressful drive when you're coaching with no information from up top. And, I felt like I was at a JV game in Gilmer, Texas on Thursday night.
What about procedurally from your staff? What have you guys learned from each other these first 3 games? A lot of different guys in different places from last season. Just have you seen improvement there from the first game?
Yeah, we have. And not just in college football in general, there's always turnover, but when you coach, that's another thing about that gap. We've got to get it where we can, pay our assistant coaches enough that we don't lose them. Now, I understand we're not to the point yet where we can keep somebody from going to Illinois with a 3-year contract of $800,000 a year. I understand that. But we've got to keep getting it where we just don't get our assistants picked off every single year, because it causes so much change. Now, that is college football. I understand it. But yes, it's been good for us to be put in such high pressure situations. We would like to have had a game, where it wasn't like that, to try to go through all that. But we've been through, the grease, the fish grease in another way. It's been hotter than fish grease the last 3 weeks, and this time not in a positive way.
Got about 3 minutes left on this, Greg.
Jeff, it looks like after the game you had a pretty long exchange with Coach Sarkisian over there. Can you shed some light on what you guys talked about, or what was the importance of that?
Yeah, it was just really so loud in there. We couldn't hear each other very well, so we had to just keep repeating our words. It was just really, really loud in there.
And now, as you come back for this week, how do you guys keep focused on a matchup like Texas Southern after playing so many powerhouses in a row?
Man, you already know the answer, Brother Greg. It's about the brand, man. We got to show up. Are we the most physical defense? Do we run the ball with an edge? And do we dominate on special teams? The triangle's got to show up. It's to the brand. It's a nameless, faceless opponent.
And you talked about the nickel position a little bit and some of the injuries there. I know it's still kind of TBD who will be available, but behind those 3, I know it seems like Malik Jones is the next guy up. Can you shed some light on those guys behind them and who's available at that spot?
Malik and Owen Pee Wee. We feel really good about Pee Wee. He's been doing a great job on scout team. We'll get his reps turned up this week. Another kid that you might see out there Saturday.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Appreciate it, everybody.
Sorry about that, man. God bless. Birds up.